Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and I am enjoying playing Hearts of Iron 4. I still want to update my mod for Hearts of Iron 3 and play a few campaigns with that, but the adding of railroads and some of this other stuff is really making Hearts of Iron 4 much better than it was. So I am enjoying this. So well, hey everyone, thanks for being here. I hope you'll smash that like button. It does help. Posting a comment helps as well. And of course, if you're new around here, please subscribe to the channel. Love to see you back more. Okay, we're going to need some more rubber here. You're going to come into here. Now, before I start waiting for more rubber, do I just want to... We're going to let this one event go. Okay, synthetic refinery. These are fuel storage, synthetic rubber. Okay, up here. Ooh, we maybe should have done that. Because of that. And that. But that'll be a while. So yeah, let's see about trading for rubber. I think the Netherlands would be a good place to get another 8 rubber from. Are we the only ones attacking? Yeah, looks like it. Okay, improved recon equipment. That is good. I hate that sort of humming motor sound. I think it's coming from the aircraft. But just did that. I think we're going to... And I know I switch. Move to different equipment. Yeah, we'll do that. Now they're helping out. Not very effectively. Well, they're like starting and stopping, stopping and starting, and deciding, do we really want to do this? Or are we just going to let the Germans do this? Okay. Better medicine here. Okay, general plastics. This is very important for World War II. And we also have Russian production factors plus 5%. Well, as we're trying to build up this stockpile, let's do that. Thought we decided not to do that. Oh, good. The Emile. The classic. I am seeing that we might be able to cut Spain in two here again. So let's head out over this way. Oh my God. What? What have I just seen here? Can you imagine this? Hey, Admiral Teague, my friend, how you doing? That was a fun show last night. Admiral Teague, here is a good friend. He is fighting to save Star Trek. He is a modern Don Quixote, tilting at windmills. He who fights the lost cause, gains the most honor. He is trying. But we actually have here, which is rare for the AI, to have a mountain division in the mountains here. And so that is a rare thing. Yes, I do have a passant shot for lost causes. Absolutely. And he does fight for them. I mean, it is a great cause. The the classic Star Treks, even the Star Trek of Next Generation and whatnot are all worth saving, but it does it's a valiant effort, and I do applaud it, but it is, I do believe, hopeless. Okay, let's see. We want to do... Yeah, let's come over here and get the classic HE 111. So anyone around who hasn't, follow his channel over on YouTube. It is great. Yeah, no Kelvin movie. That's a win. I did watch part of, I don't remember how many episodes of the Picard series, the first one. I did not finish it. I have not seen any of the additional ones, and that is the only Star Trek I have watched since Enterprise or whatever. I did not watch any of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. I did not watch any of the any of the other new series, Lower Decks. I know that's the animated one. Any of these other stuff. I have just not polluted myself with any I mean, it was at least 4 episodes, I'm pretty sure I watched, but I checked out after a while. I had such high hopes for that series. Yes. Oh, I do understand, Admiral Teague. Yes. Decker. Yep. And going after that. It's just, not, no, Arno, I watched a few episodes of it. And I will say, I probably watched the first 2 or 3 just watching them, and then I probably watched the next 2 or 3. I don't remember the exact number. Fast forwarding through them, So I wasn't even like spending the whole episode. I was like, sort of, what's going on? Fast forwarding bit, and so even that. And I, because that's what I did for the last season of Game of Thrones. I just found, I'd sort of like, oh, what's this? Okay, now then the next scene, fast forward. And I don't really consider that properly watching an episode of something. That just sort of like checking in on it to see what's going on. And so I might have, because I don't remember how many episodes, I might have gotten through more than half of season 1 of Picard, with the fast forwarding. But if you're fast forwarding something, you're not liking it. So no, Arno, no, I just, no, don't like the stuff. Around episode 3, the logic of Picard showed implodes, and it's, yeah, the whole Romulans controlling the Borg cube and the Borg on that stuff, and oh man, I just, just and it's just I don't know. Just checked. I've checked out. I'm waiting for the bad taste to get out of my mouth, and because listening to Admiral Teague shows last night, and going on was good. Does sort of want to make me go back and watch Wrath of Khan and some of the other stuff, but I'm just sort of letting all of that, mindset filter out of me before I go back, and I don't know when I can go back and watch the Next Generation. The last, because I really liked, and they were commenting on the Enterprise and the whole Zinti stuff as being a reaction to 9/11. I really liked the idea that Enterprise really became a story arc show, as well as DS9, because it was a year or two ago, but I did go through and watch DS9 again. I forget how long ago, and just, go through and watch the whole thing again. And really like that. I really like that stuff. So, it's not that I hate Star Trek or I'm never going back to it. I hate the new stuff. But, and, that's what I want to preserve, not the stuff. The DNA scanner recreates the past like a VCR has some, yeah. Don't see the latest cut of they messed up the beginning. Yeah, I mean, it sort of starts out weak, but I like how and it doesn't maybe entirely fit with some of the canon, but what I wish they would have done, and what might, sometimes writers are just hacks and lazy. Sometimes writers are deep thinkers. And it can't even be the same individual, just needs to bash out a show. So they bash out a show, and then they're sort of working on their story arc. There was that whole Time War story arc that never gets completed in Enterprise, even though they more or less complete the whole Zinti uh, story arc, that you can explain away some of the inconsistencies in Enterprise versus series versus the original series, and some of the stuff is simply being the Time War, that you're looking at it at a particular moment during the Time War, that once that is sort of wrapped up, it'll go back to the standard canon, if you will. And we all hate, well, yeah, no one will know who Mikey Spock is in 3 years. Yeah. James, yeah. Well, James, I'm very happy that Shatner has had nothing to do with this new Star Trek. Not even any promotional stuff. He is just, as far as I know, he has had nothing to do with the whole secret hideout stuff. The Temporal Cold War arc, yeah, I got shortcut through in one episode that wrapped it up. Yeah, and it just didn't do justice to it. But yeah, that's where I think Enterprise is sort of saved any, if you look at any sort of inconsistencies with that and the traditional canon. I'm good with realizing that may not all be. Okay, we're going to form this unit here. We're going to form that unit there. We're going to leave these for a moment while we're building up more reserves of equipment. So if you're interested in Star Trek, either bashing the new stuff or talking about the great old stuff, check out Admiral Teague's channel. It is worth, well, whether you want to call it watching or listening. I mean, he does periodically put up a nice, image here and there, but you can just turn it on and listen to it while you're working on other things. I was doing that a bit last night. Shatner publicly called in no kind of Star Trek. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Shatner in person at a couple of Trek conventions. Not like talk to him or anything, and just up on stage. In person is all I've ever seen Shatner. Saw Leonard Nimoy. He did his whole Vulcan sort of Vulcan salute thing, and told way back then. This is back like in the late '80s is when I saw these. Or early '90s, way back. And some of the other cast and crew were at different ones. I didn't go to a lot, probably 4 Trek conventions over my lifetime. I'm not quite sure. But based in the LA area, a lot of the main, cast show up for that. Go with the newer fighters for sure. Taking the production hit. Yeah, Voyager, that is a series where I checked out after a while. I did. Maybe I should go back and rewatch it. I saw the first few series of it, not episodes, but series. Okay, you need to come back in here and get down into these hills instead of hanging out in the mountains. So Shatner post screenings of Wrath of Khan. Oh. Yeah. No, Wrath of Khan, he did great work there. I mean, that's just an excellent movie by any standards, Wrath of Khan. Recon equipment. Okay, how are we doing for trains and things? Let's see, where is that up here? Here, okay. Yeah, this is not trains. This is transport, logistical. Here we are. Okay, we currently need 131 trains. We haven't stockpiled 174. Now, we may capture more in taking Czechoslovakia and Poland and France, but probably, not enough to rely upon. So we're going to add another train here. Production line. Yeah, I did see some 7 of 9 episodes. I remember just vaguely. I think towards the end was the Amelia Earhart episode where the humans had been taken away as prisoners on some distant planet way back when in the 30s. That was, I think, towards the end where I checked out on it. I just lost interest. If I remember correctly, Babylon 5 was still going and DS9 were still going. If I remember correctly back then, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. It just, I don't know. It didn't feel like Star Trek to me. Infrastructure works. Okay, that will make us or allow us to build railways faster. Fence works and forts. Yeah, we'll do that. The 33s, it's some reason It's in season 2. Okay, that's, I guess, when I think they lost a lot of time trying to Fox, Crest, and Neelix. Then they give up, and the show improves. Oh well, maybe it improves, and I just missed the improvements. That could be the something worth going back and rewatching sometime. Okay, 16 days. We will do the first Vienna Awards, and we'll come back and too risky. We're stopping that. Crushing this pocket of communists. Okay. You can figure out what the Spanish are trying to do. I know I want a Nobel Prize for 1938. Okay. What I want to do is cut off a sort of Madrid pocket. So what I think, since there's just 2 Spanish, a mountain unit and some other unit there. I call them units because I don't know if they're really equivalent of brigades or divisions. They're trying to push back out of Madrid. That's mountainous. That's plains. So we're going to attack in the plains with our tanks, because they will do better there to try to stop reinforcements moving there. We're crushing this pocket. They're down to 1 whatever. Brigade Internationalist. Yeah, that. Okay, so armor techs. Okay, we're doing gas engines, so we don't need to do the diesel. Improved tank armor, we'll do that. Okay, we're going to move you guys that way. Tank designs, okay. A little more peaceful, I think. Okay. Okay, this is 3839. Improved catalytic cracking. Oil extraction factor 8%. New steel mill designs. Steel mill upgrade plants. You can do 1 of 2. Construction speed faster. Okay. Okay, this allows us to build steel refineries faster by 15%. This increases output at current factories by 2. New steel mill designs, steel mill upgrade plans. Okay, what this is sort of coming down to, one of my friends recently educated me to, what is it? Intensive development versus extensive development. Extensive development would be, say, like, oh, you have a steel mill. Let's build in essence, another one right next to it of the same quality. Okay, so you're just building more of the same. Intensive development is, say, like modernizing a steel mill, making it produce steel more efficiently. So intensive versus extensive. Extensive is, I think I have it right, is doing more into, I may have that reversed, sorry. But I think we're going to do this. We're going to improve. So our current steel mills are all going to produce more steel. And so even though we may build more, which we plan on it, but they will do more production as simply having more steel mills, having better steel mills. Okay, no, I don't want to mess with Cuba. First Vienna Awards, good. That will help us with Hungary. We're going to come back over here, and we're going to do the synthetic rubber refinery here. Push down some of that path. That's very useful once we'll get cut off and need more and more rubber. See, now rubber is a massive point of failure for World War II. And so with the first Vienna Awards, again, I hate the state mechanic for this. It is just bad, bad, bad. I wish they'd never even thought of it. Part of if you can see, these states here, you click on it, this state is how many factories are allowed in the state here. This obviously can have a lot of that. As a way, originally, now that they've added power plants in, as a way of limiting the amount of factories you can put in an area. Okay, well, just if that's your main sort of thing, I mean, it's more than just that, but it's mostly that. You have some of these stupid states that look like this that have no purpose. But this is, so first you have the Munich Conference, which gives this territory to Germany, this Czechoslovak territory to Germany. Then Hungary, and because at the end of World War I, along this borderline, because of the old Austro-Hungarian border, there isn't a, clear, this is Slovak territory and this is, Hungarian-speaking territory. It's a border area. There are towns that have, some of the towns here may be a majority Czech, but minority Hungarian, and vice versa, but enough that combination of being on the losing side of World War I, Hungary was, and just trying to create a Czechoslovakia that was tenable. They gave a lot of territory over that Hungary claimed back, and they were getting ready to invade, so Germany negotiates between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. There's actually a few days of fighting, 2 or 3 days of fighting. Very, very few people are hurt at all. It was more of just a skirmish and occupation. So that really starts to move Hungary into the German army. Because you have to understand here, just a second. This game, Hearts of Iron, starts in 1936. And that's a great, great year to start it for many reasons. And I'm not going to go into all of them. But basically in January 1936, Mussolini organizes up what is called the Tripartite Pact. That's the later one, the Axis, or the post-Axis with Japan. The Three Powers Pact. Sorry, because they didn't. The Tripartite Pact sounds cooler, but Mussolini comes up with the Three Powers Pact, and it's headed up by Italy. It is an anti-German, anti-Nazi pact. Hitler had visited Italy and Mussolini prior to 1936 once. The visit didn't go well. Mussolini is hearing Hitler's rhetoric about Greater Germany and reuniting Germany, and Mussolini is from sort of this part of Italy, and he knows that this here used to be Austria, and this here used to be Austria. So here and here, and probably something just that little province here, used to be part of Austria-Hungary. Well, he doesn't want to lose Trieste, a major city. He does not want to lose this, at least at the 1930s, a majority German-speaking region, as far as I know. Why not? Oh, I'll get to that. Okay, I'll get to that in a moment. That's not a bad question. But so he doesn't want to lose these territories. He feels endangered. So fascism, and again, we won't go into it now, but fascism and National Socialism are different ideologies, and not just added racism on the German part, and not, not, and part of it is all of this, but part of it is National Socialism's anti-Christian aspect that is not in fascism. Fascism does not try to explain. Fascism is a political economic philosophy, not a religious type or origins of humanity type philosophy that National Socialism definitely has in it. National Socialism is much more of a religious, political mixed philosophy. Lots can be said on that topic, but they're both totalitarian ideologies, though. And they're both revolutionary. Now, maybe, this I've sort of vacillated whether fascism and National Socialism are right-wing or left-wing, because they're both socialistic. Neither of them are leveling socialists, as in, communism, or more socialism as in trying to make everyone equal, but they're still collective means of production and whatnot. So they're both revolutionary. Neither of them are traditionalist parties. Both of them allow aristocracies to either formally or informally, in Germany's case, informally, meaning they no longer have you no longer have power because you're a count or a duke or something like that. But in Italy, it is still a monarchy. There is still, the traditional aristocracy still continues under the fascist state. But both ideologies are tolerant of the aristocrats that are in their midst, unlike communism, which are killing them. So the ideologies are not leveling, not trying to make everyone equal, but they are still collective. So there is a certain point of similarity between the two ideologies, but that isn't important to Mussolini. Mussolini is worried about German expansion. There is, and I'm still vacillating on whether the Fatherland Front or the Winterland Front is what it was called in German, which in 1933 the head of Austria is assassinated by an Austrian National Socialist. So the National Socialists for some years are banned in Austria. So it is either a fascist or a nationalist party, and I'm not sure, that is controlling Austria. Hungary is a monarchy without a monarch. The monarch is living in Paris and is not allowed to return. It is run by Horthy, an admiral without a navy or a sea. And it is being run in a nationalistic, not a fascistic, in a nationalistic term, as I would say. And more of a tradition. And I say not, because, you can put istic on it, so it's not necessarily fascism or nationalism or communism. It just has aspects of it. My understanding, because there are the Arrow Cross and whatnot, fascist parties within Hungary, but really Horthy is running it as a more traditional nationalist type state, not as a fascist type state. Well, they're all worried about German expansion. So Mussolini gets his anti-Hitler pact, the three powers pact with Austria, Hungary, and Italy, which, of course, Austria and Hungary or at war with Italy in one. Now, leading up to there's a whole charm offensive that goes on that Hitler does to allow Germany to take over Austria, and he's reassuring Mussolini that they're not going to make claims on the German lands that are currently Italian controlled. So the Three Powers Pact falls apart, obviously, when Germany invades. There's no fighting, but it is a military invasion, invades Austria. Now, this is concerning to Hungary. And again, Hitler goes on a charm offensive, invites Horthy to come up and review the German fleet and whatnot, so he can wear his admiral's uniform around the Navy and all this kind of stuff. And starts to, hey, yeah, Austria, you lost, territories along, here and along other border regions here against this. Sometimes you will find states that are really small here that, are just this little thing. This is why I hate this, the state mechanic in just one provinces. Hey, you've lost that territory. Hey, you've lost sort of this territory here, and hey, you've sort of lost some territory around here. Don't you want it back? Be our buddies, and we'll help you get it back. So that is how Germany is, first getting Mussolini and forming the Pact of Steel, doing also, which we haven't hit, the Anti-Comintern Pact, is, hey, we've got to stop these Bolsheviks. And whatnot, the joint fighting in Spain is helping with Italy. And so here you have, we'll get you some of your significant elements of your lost territory back if you join an alliance. Okay, quickly, why not 33? Hitler's not in charge in 1933. That'd be the simplest answer. Why not 33? In January 1933, Hitler becomes chancellor. To my knowledge, and I don't remember, I studied this in university, but I don't remember. I don't believe the National Socialists got the majority of the seats in the what is it? Was it the Reichstag or whatever? Well, it wasn't Reichstag, the Bundestag or whatever in Parliament. But they had the biggest number. They had the plurality, not the majority, meaning they were the largest party sitting in Parliament at the time. Previously to this, because Goering was rather a popular figure, being the last commander of the Flying Circus, Richthofen's old squadron, winner of the Blue Max. So he was personally rather popular, and also not a classic aristocrat at all, but not some son of some Austrian postman's son from Austria. That's Hitler. He was, coming from a middle class background, definitely sort of a pusher up. Hey, Ellen Devout, how you doing? And so we're playing with Black Ice, yes. So Goering is rather publicly popular. So he is already Speaker of the Parliament. Was it Bundestag? I don't know. Bundestag, Reichstag fire. Maybe it's still called the Reichstag. I don't know. Sorry, I'm blanking on that. I get some of these details wrong. If you want to know the true and correct history, go read a book. I'm just talking about it. And so the nationalists, and there's several nationalist parties, but the nationalists, non-national socialist nationalists, don't do particularly well in the election, particularly because a lot of their voter goes over to the National Socialists. They had with a coalition, had been the leading party in Parliament, or with the coalition, and the head of the Nationalist Party is Hindenburg, who is president of Germany. And rather popular, even popular with a lot of the sort of centrist types as people, in that he's there, he's a popular figure, he's sort of giving stability for Germany, because even if you're a slight socialist type, you don't maybe quite want the communists to take over, you quite don't want these Nazis to take over, so you vote for him, Hindenburg, and Hitler lost the election that was earlier to Hindenburg. And oh boy, picturing his face. Franz von Papen, who had been chancellor, I don't know if immediately or just the previous chancellor before that, but he had previously been chancellor of Germany, goes to Hindenburg and says, look, we cannot continue to run a government. Let's do a coalition government with these Nazi guys. If you come out and support it, we'll do this. I'll go talk to Hitler. I'll be vice chancellor. Vice chancellor is not like in the U.S. where you have, now the building is called the Reichstag. Okay, Reichstag, but yeah, so was it Reichstag at the time? Yeah, okay, so the Reichstag. Because most of the photos you see with Hitler and that's like some opera house or something that they use because the Reichstag is burnt down. But yeah, get back up to the story, gamer. There mostly during the Weimar years and whatnot, and even before that, there mostly is not a vice chancellor, though sometimes there is. It's not like a normal sort of office that's always there under the Constitution. So he goes and goes, hey, we're going to have I'll go and I'll negotiate with this Hitler guy. So they go in and negotiate. It's a mixed cabinet. It's some of the nationalists and some of the Nazis. It's Hitler's, and he sort of says, well, hey, Hitler's just going to be sort of a figurehead with you as president, which is somewhere between it's not entirely figurehead, because the president under the Weimar government, the president is in charge of the military, not the chancellor, not the government. The military is sort of separate. So the president has a lot more powers than the current sort of president of Germany, which is just a sort of figurehead office with the chancellor or prime minister, whatever you want to call him, being the actual power center in modern Germany. It was sort of somewhat mixed. So, and so with you as president, me as vice chancellor, we'll control these Nazis, we'll take advantage of their support, and we'll keep going, and keep in power. So Hitler is not in charge in 1933. Hitler is not even fully in charge of the National Socialist Party, because he has Ernst Röhm that is killed off in 1934, if I get the year right. People, I love history. I'm bad at dates and whatnot. I'm good at orders of events. And that it's combination of, Ernst Röhm is whether Ernst Röhm feels himself as a successor or possible replacement for Hitler, that's debatable, what he might have thought of himself. But we definitely know from enough records and enough people talking that Ernst Röhm is an anti-Prussian. Okay, he is a Bavarian. He is an anti-Prussian. He feels very much through his military experience. He was kept back, held down, because he wasn't a Prussian. Whether that's true, whether it's the Prussian elites that were definitely, as a fact, we can look at most of the the high command of the World War I Reichskrieg, the German army then, was definitely Prussian dominated, though Bavaria did have its own sort of large army. And another famous Bavarian army officer, of course, was Erwin Rommel. He was part of the Bavarian army, not part of the Prussian army. And definitely going into and throughout World War I. There was definitely the idea of a Prussian army, a Bavarian army, and a couple of other sort of smaller armies. Not every single little state had its own army, but the Bavarian army was its own separate establishment, meaning for the most part, unless you're going to the general staff, unless you're going to, Corps Command or whatever, Bavarian officers and Bavarian soldiers only served in Bavarian units. You weren't going to be sent off to, a Bavarian officer, at least as far as my understanding. You weren't going to be sent off to some Prussian cavalry, even if you're a Bavarian cavalry officer, you're not going to be, swapped out units to some other place. It's sort of its own establishment within the system. So for some of that reasons, for some of Ernst Röhm's is much more of the leveling socialist type within the National Socialist Party, meaning more left-wing. Now, Goebbels is also sort of that, but Goebbels pretty quickly attaches himself to Hitler and stays there. But whether it's, some of the more, get rid of the old aristocracy, get rid of the plutocrats, people who rule with money. Again, it's probably with Ernst Röhm, and I'm not super familiar with the details of his personal ideology, but I don't think it's like to the communist level that everyone's going to make the same income or anything like that. But get rid of the quote unquote plutocrats, get rid of the old aristocrats, clean house kind of thing. Much more so, much more fast than Hitler wants to do. So he's upsetting in that way, and he also wants to have the SA replace or merged with, but with him in charge, the army. Because remember, guys, there is the standard sort of SA, in 1933, 1934. There is the Ritter SA, which means riding SA, which are the cavalry SA. And there's also the Marine SA, that were mostly set up all along the Gauss, along the coast. But I do know that there were Marine units that were like along the Rhine River and whatnot. And they build, now I have a photo used in my mod, a Third Reich event, of a mock-up of a sailing ship. And that's just like sort of mocked up along the edge of the river there, built in there, that has the full rigging of a sailing ship. So that people inland could, not of a river barge, but of they're still in those days training for sail. So that you could train, people go climb up the masts and set the sails, and this, mock-up of a ship sitting next to the river kind of thing, and it didn't have the bottom hole, but had the sort of the top part of the deck of a ship, the training ship, to train sailors. And so the SA he might have even been seeing his SA as taking over the Navy as well. And this is upsetting the Navy and upsetting the Army. So in 1934, you kill Rome to please and get rid of some of his supporters to please the Army. And then you have, later in 1934, you have President Hindenburg dying, and only then do you have Hitler merging the offices of Chancellor and President, removing the office of Vice Chancellor, and even then, Hitler still isn't in charge. It really isn't until 1936 that you're reintroducing conscription. I believe it's coming in 1936, or maybe it's 1937, but it's right around there. I think it's 1937. You see taking back the Saarland is not a military action in 1935. The Saarland had still been up until 1935, still had been under French occupation, and that sort of means that, profits / taxes / whatever you want to call it, from the industry in the Saarland were going to France. And possibly a lot of resources, the steel that they make was just being sent to France. It's only in 1936, and again in like February or January or whatever of 1936, that you have the military occupation of the Rhineland. And you have also, really starting in 1936, is where well, how you want to call it, the Hitler, the Nazis, the military complex, only then becomes really the military industrial complex. It's only really in 1936 that you really start to see build up of military resources, building up of the army, building up, starting in, I think it's late 36 or is it 37, is where when they officially announce the Luftwaffe exists. It had existed, and they were flying aircraft before, but under sort of other sort of names, hiding its official existence. I mean, anybody who was, observers, military observers, spies, whatever, knew it was existing, but it wasn't officially announced. You don't have, that isn't going on there. So as a player of a game, if you were starting before then and starting to do all this military buildup, they weren't doing any of that military buildup before 1936. Oh, sure, they were testing a few tanks here and there. Oh, they were testing a few planes here and there. Sure, there was one factory and one factory only manufacturing, and that's the Simpson and Sons, manufacturing rifles and light machine guns for the army. And they weren't even supposed to be making artillery until whatever. And so you're supposed to be using. So again, why do most of these? No, let's come over to production here. Let's come here. Let's show outdated equipment. Why is this the Mauser 18? Why is this the Flak 18? See some more of the outdated. Okay, these are 1916 dates and maybe older stuff. Why are they 18? Because if you look at the, we can see, where is it here? The Lish Infantry Geschütz 18. Why 18? Well, it was all sort of part of the scheme to, I mean, it wasn't fooling anybody, but to sort of officially fool the observers of the Versailles Treaty and whatnot. Oh, these are just designs that we had secretly made in 1918, getting ready for World War I. Oh yeah, so that's why a lot of stuff have the 1918 dates on it. So it's not really to where you are sort of really able to do military buildup, both in numbers of units, starting to build the West Wall once you occupy it. Yeah, there had been some pre-existing fortifications that were post-World War I, particularly in the East, because they were actually a little, I don't know that they were more, obviously the Rhineland was occupied by the Western Allies, particularly France, for quite a long time. It was a little more, I think, a fear that they thought they could maybe handle or deal with in the East here. So they were building up some fortifications in the early 30s, even before Hitler comes to power in the East. But it's really, a lot of stuff that a player can really misskew the game, misskew history if you start before 36. So I know I wasn't going into it, but Arno poked. So Arno got his thing. So 36 is the great date to start the game from a realistic aspect that you're dealing with the build-up before the war. Because either you should start and allow the nations to make reasonable decisions based upon their political realities. Yes, we know you're evil. Political realities, or you should just simply start like in the day the war starts, start with the equipment and the setup that they do then. I like what they do because there's a lot of what ifs that can be done. Okay, well, we're getting up to radios, up to almost 90% of the radios we need for infantry units, so we're getting more, but we need for support battalions, we're only at 72, but if we use one of these, we'll empty that out. We need only, okay. Well, we might as well give these there. Okay. Special Forces. It's Pride Mountain Troops, but okay, so we're doing some of that. Well, you know, I think we're going to end the episode here with all of that talk. I know we haven't gotten very far. As I said before, I'm going to make the video that talks about how to make a stable version that won't get effed up by the new. Hey, Michael, Fox is here. Very good. Merry Christmas, yes, and a Happy New Year to everybody. So I think we're gonna end this now. I'm really enjoying talking to everybody, but I do have things I need to do today. So we'll be getting back to more normal stuff. Hopefully in the next few weeks here. I'm still building, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to be staying in my secret mountain base. But more videos will come as time goes on. So everyone, thank you, Ellen Devout, thank you. I know you just showed up, Michael Fox, and we're getting ready to close out. Admiral Teague, if you're still around, thanks so much. Who else has been here? Of course, Arno. If Greg is still over on Twitter, thanks for hanging out with me, and Hoffmanator, and I know Singh has left. John, thank you for being here. Thanks, everybody. Really enjoy hanging out with everybody. War Thunder should be tomorrow. Yes, Arno. At the usual time, we should be doing some War Thunder. So if you want to either watch or play with us, do come and check out. Check us out tomorrow. So, and it won't be until the 8th of January, and I forget what I'm streaming for Slitherine, but we'll be doing that a bit later. So thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow, I hope.